Welcome back to the End Show. Thanks for watching tonight. Now, if you have a son or daughter that's getting ready to go off to college, what's on your kitchen table? I can tell you what's going to be on your kitchen table, and that's a student loan debt, because it has climbed to an all-time high in this country of $1.2 trillion. It is the fastest growing form of consumer debt in this country. Now, if we want to lead as a country globally, the way we need to make higher education, the way we're going to do it is to make it more affordable and completely free. This is the new wave of thought in this country, which is exactly what my next guest, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, is aiming for. Earlier today, the presidential candidate introduced legislation to make four-year public colleges and universities tuition-free. And here's the big kicker in the whole deal. College costs could be paid through a new tax on Wall Street transactions. This is what Senator Sanders is all about. Sanders wants a so-called Robin Hood tax on stock transactions to fund the federal share of tuition for every American student. The plan calls for a 50-cent tax on every $100 of stock trades on stock sales. Lesser amounts would be collected on transactions involving bonds, derivatives, and other financial instruments. Now, this is clearly a step forward in the right direction as I see it. Why not try it for a year? Well, of course it would work. Then the Republicans would be against it. Joining me tonight to give us more on this is the Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and candidate for president. Senator, good to have you with us tonight. This is a very forward-thinking, problem-solving issue as I see it. It's what American families are dealing with every summer. How's my kid going to go to college? But the number that I think people have got to consume is where the debt is, $1.2 trillion. And I have to ask the question, Senator, if we don't do something, where are we going to be in 5 years? Where are we going to be in 10 years?
Ed, this is a disastrous situation, and it's really an embarrassment for a great country like ours. We got hundreds of thousands of bright, young people who now have given up the dream of going to college, losing all of their intellectual potential. And as you've just mentioned, we have millions more who are leaving school, 30,000, 50,000. I talked to a young doctor last year. She is $300,000 in debt. This is insane. So it's time for us to learn from what countries around the world are doing, Germany, Scandinavia, countries all over the world. And they are saying that they want to capitalize on the intelligence and energy of their young people, that all young people deserve the ability to get a higher education regardless of the income of their family, and that furthermore, young people should not be strangled by this oppressive debt around their necks, which go on year after year after year.
Yeah.
So,
Senator, those who oppose this plan are going to be saying, why do we have to shake down Wall Street? Why is Wall Street the target here? Your thoughts?
Well, the answer is twofold. Number one, folks on Wall Street and the people who are trading in huge amounts of stocks are becoming phenomenally wealthy. Hedge fund managers are doing extraordinarily well, and they have got to help us deal with some of the major crises that we face as a nation, including making college affordable. Second of all, Ed, what this legislation does is not only raise a very substantial sum of money in a fair and progressive way, it also puts a damper on this speculation that is rampant in Wall Street. So it serves a purpose in that direction as well.
So it's a 2-for-1. You've always been concerned about the speculation on Wall Street, and this would be throwing some cold waters on the hot till, so to speak, which, of course, would bring down the risk on our economy. All right. Now, what has been the response since you've announced this legislation and the mechanism you want to use?
It's been extraordinary. I think all over the country, young people are writing us and their families are writing us in terms of email, in terms of signing a petition that we have out there. Look, as you've just indicated, every parent about sending their kid to college is scared to death and worried about what kind of a debt their children are going to incur and what kind of a debt they are going to incur. This is a no-brainer. If you want a strong economy, you have to have the best educated workforce in the world. It is insane to tell kids they can't get that education.
All right, so tell us about the second Robin Hood bill, which is similar to the one introduced by Congressman Keith Ellison.
Right, it's the same bill as Keith introduced. And essentially, you know, it's the same bill. And we're introducing it independently, but we're also introducing it to pay for this higher education refinancing bill. And by the way, we'll raise enough money to do some other things as well. Look, the bottom line here is, Ed, the rich are getting much richer. You have corporations making huge profits. These guys are going to have to start paying their fair share of taxes so we can address the major issues facing our country, and that includes making education affordable and lifting this yoke of debt that so many of our young people are dealing with.
Senator, if I may profoundly point out, in the news in the last week, other candidates are talking about war. You're talking about kitchen table issues. Where do you think the public is?
I think the public understands that we need to fundamentally reshape our priorities, that we cannot get involved in an endless war in the Middle East, which will cost us lives, which will cost us trillions more of taxpayer dollars, that we have got to address, Ed, the crisis facing a disappearing middle class, and that's where we have got to put our effort. We've got to create millions of decent-paying jobs, rebuilding our infrastructure. We have to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. We have to make college affordable. We've got to deal with student debt. We have to deal with climate change. We can't keep pushing these issues aside and get involved in more and more war.
Are you enjoying running? I mean, I know you thought of this a lot. You're early into it. Are you enjoying it?
It's quite a trip, to tell you the truth. It's very interesting, yes. The answer is I am, and I'm looking forward to getting out all over this country, into New Hampshire, into Iowa. We're going to make our formal announcement next week in Burlington, Vermont.
Senator Bernie Sanders, always a pleasure here on the Ed Show. Thanks so much, Senator.
Thank you.
Still to come, Republicans stumble on Iraq strategy, and next, the latest on the investigation into the deadly biker brawl